What's going on out there, artists? It's your boy Coach back with another video, and today I want to talk about how do we go about second verses. Now, I know in this day and time, you rarely hear a song with two verses in it. A lot of time you just got a song with chorus, long verse, chorus, and they get out of there. But as we become more serious artists and as we start putting out more music and as we start building our catalog, we got to think about second verses and even third verses, because that was the whole point of an LP is songs with third verses. I'm talking 3-4 minute long songs. But anyway, so here's something that I think about when I'm writing my second verse. Number one is, and then what? Progress the story. And what I mean is, say for instance, you got a song about you meeting a chick in the club, right? And so the first verse is about how you meet her in the club, you getting her drunk, she with her friends, y'all having a good time, you meeting her and everything. And then the second verse to progress the story could be about when y'all get home or when y'all leave the club. And then that's a whole nother thing of scenarios, a whole nother list of conversations and stories and pictures you can paint. Today's video is brought to you guys by Beatopia.com. Beatopia is the new #1 source for artists, no matter the genre, looking for beats and tracks for their next project. The next one, Switch Verses Like Game. I can't remember what documentary, what interview I heard when the Game said this, and it made so much sense. He said that a lot of times he'll write his first verse, and he knows always when he writes his first verse, they're going to be good. But what he does is he takes that and he moves it all the way to the last verse. And this challenges him to write even better verses for either the first or the second verse. And this is something that you guys can do if you don't necessarily have, a track to where you can move the story forward. Just simply take that first verse, move it to the second verse, so you already know the second verse is going to be fire. And then write a fire first verse, okay? Number 2, past, future, and present. All right. You can create a song to where in the first verse you're talking in the present, things that's going on right now. And then in the second verse you can go, but back then it wasn't like that. I was doing this and this what happened, and you strictly talking in the past tense. So you got one verse in one setting of time and another verse in another setting of time. And what this does, it helps with momentum, it helps with progression, and it helps move things forward. Okay. Another one, different perspective. And simply different perspective could be like Kendrick Lamar on Sing About Me Dying of Thirst. In the first verse, he sung from a female's perspective. He sung from a man's perspective. And then in the second verse, he sung from a female's perspective. And then the third verse, he sung from his perspective in replying to those. And so that's just another way you could go about it. And you don't necessarily have to do it the Kendrick Lamar way. Say for instance, like I had a song about me and my friend, how we grew apart, how we still homies, we love each other, but we grew apart. And then in the first verse, I'm explaining how I feel from my perspective, and then in the second verse, I'm explaining maybe how he feel and the things that I don't understand from his perspective. Just another way to go about it, okay? Another one, different mood. Say for instance, you got a love song and or a breakup song, and then in the first verse, you start off with something that's very heartfelt or sad or longing and missing that person. And then in the second verse, to progress things on, you can move to a more angrier mood or a more even sadder mood. What I'm saying? That probably won't work, but just changing it. And what this does is it helps with momentum. It helps keep the listener engaged, because it's like you're showing me something new in the second verse. Also, another way to go about it is if, say for instance, in your first verse, you want to go melodic and you want to do the auto-tune thing and you want to sing. And then, in your second verse, you just go in rapping, kind of like Young Thug did on Givenchy. On the first verse, he was singing about the girl, about how he love her and everything, Givenchy for his hoes and bros. And then in the second verse, when he got to talking about all kind of street stuff, guns, all this kind of shit, and he was rapping. It's another great way to go about it. And another one is general story. So in the first verse, if you're talking about something general, like Jay-Z on The Evils, you know what I'm saying? And how in the first verse, he's actually just talking about, the Evils. He's setting up the story. He's telling you, what's going on, his mind state, just talking in general about the subject matter. And then in the second verse and in the third verse, he actually gets into story, actually gets into narrative, which actually dives deeper into the topic, and it helps to drive the point of the song home even more. Okay, I hope this video gave you guys something to think about. I'll holler at you on the next one. Peace. Hours and hours and hours of this same content on my Patreon, man. Y'all better stop sleeping. Check it out. Link in the bio.